The funding for this video is provided by the amazing members of my Patreon. Also contributions from viewers like you. Thank you. Yeah, I started from PBS Kids. What you gonna do? Fight me? Anyway, roll the video.
Good morning, America!
All right, this weekend, all the magic of Disney entertainment under one roof at the D23 Expo in Anaheim, California.
Disney, of course, the parent company of ABC. Of special interest, the upcoming animated movies, including the sequels to Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph. And ABC's Matt Gutman getting in on the action for us this morning. Matt, you're channeling your inner child.
I wish Disney had this much energy towards their animated series.
I gave it all for fantasy.
When it comes to Disney's bigger budget animated films, we see them shits everywhere. Like, they get news spots, commercials, billboard ads, snacks, and tons of overpriced merchandise. I can't say the same about the animated series they have. Disney claims to be a company that cares so much about cartoons, but then treats their animated TV shows like complete ass crack. The exception of Phineas and Ferb, because they promoted the hell out of that shit. And plenty of these shows wouldn't have been popular if fandom didn't exist. Like, I kid you not. I kid you not. Gravity Falls would not have been the success that it was if it weren't for the nerds on the internet screaming about how much they love it. Disney did not promote that show. They only promoted it on Disney Channel. And by the way, Disney, only promoting your shows on your channel and not other networks is not good marketing. I have my issues with Disney XD, as so much of its programming was anti-black, misogynistic, and disgusting as hell. It is a dead channel at this point that just airs reruns of 5 different shows, including the same 6 episodes of Gravity Falls. Why do you feel the need to air Weirdmageddon every other weekend, Disney? Explain that to me. My main beef that I have with Disney XD is that this is the channel that keyworded Toon Disney. In 2008, Disney decided that they were going to rebrand the Toon Disney channel and turn it into Disney XD. Did they ever explain what XD even meant? I don't know. Anyway, as someone who likes cartoons more than live action series, I was pissed. I gave Disney XD a chance for years. I've been watching it since it launched as Disney XD in the beginning of 2009. I have seen the good, I have seen the bad, and I have seen the ugly as fuck. By the state of what this channel is in now, in my opinion, getting rid of Toon Disney was a mistake.
Remember me. If I go tonight, I doubt the world will change. I just pray they don't forget my name. These is game rules I can't lose. When it's all said and done, I hope I still be cool. Spend like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. How I must be providing. She walking in compliments my closet. Fuck her off.
Come on, boys, get loud. 'Cause when the music starts bumping, the whole place will be jumping. It's my scene, my scene. You know what I mean. It's my scene, you know what
Hey y'all, it's Harriyanna and I'm back with another video. Hi, hello, how are you guys doing? My name is Harriyanna and welcome back to the pirate ship, also known as Harry Hook's pirate ship. I am the captain. You are not my first mate, and I don't got no first mate because you want to know why? I am still recovering from my eczema breakout, so I'm not getting all close to the camera. But nobody's birthday of being the first mate. But hi, hello, how are you guys doing? My name is Harriyanna and I like to make content based off nostalgia and family and children's entertainment and all the issues that I find within those spaces. Today, I just want to sit here and talk about Toon Disney because I was just reminiscing on all of like my favorite series from my childhood, remembering that a lot of them came from Toon Disney. And then when the introduction of Disney XD came, all of that shit was like faded away and gone into non-existence until like a few years ago, with a lot of these series being put on Disney Plus or people just uploading them randomly on YouTube. it's a mess, okay? But I do want to give a brief disclaimer. I am not one of those kind of people that's just gonna be like, Disney was better back in my day and all that shit. No, like, y'all know that is not me, that is not my vibe, because I think Disney has always been about the same for a long time. You get a lot of good content and then you get a lot of bad content. There's a lot of bad content from Disney from my childhood, but Disney XD did so much harm to this company, and I just feel like I just need to talk my shit about it. All right. So as I am in the middle of putting this video together, I decided to go to my YouTube community tab and ask you guys why you think Disney XD failed us, and y'all are mad.
Now, I'm not very articulate with the subject matter, but I do think that Disney XD focusing on being a boys channel and Disney Channel rebranding as a girls channel hurt both channels in my opinion. It felt like the shows were merely based on trends, on demographics and stereotypes than actual content, especially in the sitcoms. And don't even get me started that all the cartoons were dumped on Disney XD too, implying that cartoons are for boys.
The marketing wasn't clear about who it was for. Disney Television Animation canceling and rushing some shows while also putting out Let's Play garbage.
It tried to compete with other cartoon channels with a new branding that wasn't the Disney Channel. It tried to be gender oriented and it failed. It lacked a stable cartoon schedule. It sent its shows there to die. There's more underlying and overt issues, but those are what come to mind.
Oh, I remember when Gravity Falls moved from Disney Channel to XD and everyone was saying XD was where shows go to die. I'm not exactly sure why XD failed, but it didn't seem to me that Disney had enough good shows to justify having two channels.
Disney XD catered to boys and realized that their market was falling off, so they added Star and the Forces of Evil and Gravity Falls to appeal to both girls and boys. But it was too late by that point, and they mostly show reruns of their old shows, and not a lot of new shows are being produced.
I think it might be because a lot of the shows there seems to, what my gender stereotype brain thought was a channel for boys, even though I liked some of the shows like Lab Rats and Mighty Med at the time. Then I thought maybe it was a channel for older kids / young adults, and then they started replacing the live action shows with animated shows. So I think what made Disney XD fail is, why does it need to exist in the first place?
Every time that I see Witch, I remember that I was robbed.
I feel like they failed because they never fully committed to their animated or non-animated series. XD has had good shows, but few legends.
I think Disney XD was too focused on trying to be a channel for boys, and as a result produced very bad shows. With the exception of stuff like Kicking It, Lab Rats, etc., Toon, Disney, and Jetix was amazing because not only did it have original shows that could pull fans of both genders, but also had a lot of stuff that other people were already fans of, including the Power Rangers, Pokemon, other animes.
They were quick to axe the whole set of shows that are fun just because they weren't new. Disney XD felt like a gentrified neighborhood. The live action stuff was very, hello fellow teens for the most part. I remember when XD was hyped on the commercials and it was bare when it dropped. Toon Disney plus Jetix, I think, was chill and didn't feel like it was trying to market something. The switch fits in line with kid spaces increasingly being commercialized over the years, ending up where things are now.
Justice for Toon Disney.
As we see with what Disney XD has turned to now, it's pretty much a dead channel at this point. Like, when I say dead, I mean it's just a channel that just plays reruns, like it's fucking Boomerang by Cartoon Network. If y'all know what Boomerang was before it became a streaming service, it was just basically a 24-hour channel that was a sister to Cartoon Network, and all it did was play old shows all day long. And then the premise of Boomerang started to diminish because they started making Boomerang originals, like that horrible Wizard of Oz show, and then Benicua. Never trust a network when they're saying they're gonna be a rerun channel, because they're always gonna find a way to put some new content on there, okay? But like I said, Toon Disney was basically a channel that played cartoons all day long. Not always all cartoons all day long, but mostly it was like channel dedicated strictly to Disney's animation. Now, Toon Disney was a 24-hour cartoon channel that Disney used to have. They did used to play live action series from time to time, because I remember they started adding episodes of the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody onto the network, and then they would play Power Rangers all the time too. Toon Disney is actually how I and many other people were introduced to Power Rangers, so fun. Like, Toon Disney literally had everything. They played them classic Disney animated movies. They played them cheap ass spin-offs that those animated movies got. They had a whole entire Saturday cartoon block like the Weekenders and Pepper Ann. You had anime too. Toon Disney was my introduction to Digimon. Fun. And then they had a lot of action and adventure series such as W.i.t.c.h and Jackie Chan Adventures. When it came down to having something for everyone animation wise, Toon Disney was that network. It was a bit like Nicktoons Network, I would say. Disney XD honestly turned into Nicktoons Network what it is now. It was a lot like Nicktoons Network. They had so many different kinds of cartoons to pick and choose from. And y'all wonder why so many people hate Nicktoons now. It's because they just play reruns of the same 3 shows all day long. They don't do what they used to do with playing numerous different cartoons to choose from. It's very fucking frustrating. Like, I just would like to watch Edgar and Ellen again on Nicktoons. Is that so much to ask for? I like the CGI Alvin and the Chipmunk show, but please play something else. God, if I gotta see more Fairly Odd Parents reruns, I'ma scream. Y'all have so many other shows to pick from. Y'all have a plethora of shit to choose from, but y'all choose not to. Anyway, that was a little sidebar. Let's get back into this. Now, I want you guys all to make a note of what I said, because we're gonna bring that shit back up, okay? And then most of this shit was gone in 2009 when Toon Disney was murdered and turned into Disney XD. Disney XD, in my opinion, specifically is a section of Disney that appeals to boys and the male gaze. As if so many Disney properties don't already cater to the male gaze in general. Like, literally just look at the way the Disney princesses are drawn. The 90s Disney princesses specifically. Okay, I feel like I need to put an insert in here to explain how Princess Jasmine characters fits the male gaze, because I already know somebody in the comment section was gonna try to tell me no. Here we go. I will have the link for this source down below, but I will read to you guys about this article where somebody else had the same complaint as me about Princess Jasmine's design. Jasmine appears to be a beautiful, flawless princess that kids like you may look up to. Jasmine, however, is a great example of the male gaze. If you look at the picture above, Jasmine's eyes are enlarged, her lips are full, and she has a soft nose. More obvious showing of the male gaze is her outfit choice. Her straps are at the top of the shoulders and exposes her abdomen in an attempt to turn herself into an object, as opposed to being looked at as an individual. Her large breasts are a small shirt and also pleasing to the male audience. The character of Jasmine for Aladdin was created by men who were able to control what is being looked at and exaggerate it for their viewing pleasure. I want y'all to see Izzy in my shirt in this video. That's why I keep doing that. Now, what exactly is the male gaze, you ask? Male gaze. In feminist theory, the male gaze is the act of depicting women and the world in the visual arts and in literature from a masculine, cisgendered, heterosexual perspective that presents and represents women as sexual objects for the pleasure of the heterosexual male viewer. While most people talk about the male gaze from a more live action perspective, I want to talk about it a bit in a more animated perspective, because we often have people talk about the male gaze with anime, but no, anime is not the only people that have this issue. Western animation has this problem just as well. In my video I made about how female cartoon characters have better designs than male cartoon characters, and that has to do with the male gaze. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, animation made by women and for women looks differently than animation made by men for men. And also the premise is a bit different too. So much of Western animation is what they think girls look like and act like versus how they actually are. Have y'all noticed that a lot of these female characters in Western animation look different now? It's because more women have been involved in these projects. Like, I kid you not, you can tell what kind of demographic anime is catered towards by the way the girls and the women are drawn. Every time I see a damn shonen and the girl is drawn, she's wearing a short ass skirt, she got big thighs, and then she has really big titties, but I often do not see that in josei or shoujo. Like, it's funny how Disney is trying to say they wanted to make their work appeal more to boys with the creation of Disney XD, but a good chunk of the work at that time period, being when Toon Disney was still on air, appealed to them. The animation departments in the 90s and the 2000s were full of just men. Fuck, the entire Gen X blocks was catered towards boys and men. Also, all of these damn shows were created by men too. And then going over to its competitors on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, that's literally what the Powerpuff Girls is. I love the Powerpuff Girls down. Y'all already know that, but I noticed that there was so much such shit in that series, and when I did my research, I found out the production team was mainly just men. The only women that really worked on this series were the voice actors. And also, My Life as a Teenage Robot is not the serve that we think it is. I'm sorry. Why did they feel the need to animate Ginny the way like that? Tiny ass skirt and her stomach was out. Like, she's a robot, I get it, but like, she's no. Because at the end of the day, those people behind those series put so much fan service and fight scenes in there for the sake of appealing to the male audience. I'm gonna read you a piece of this amazing article that touches both on the subject of the Powerpuff Girls and My Life as a Teenage Robot being catered towards the male gaze. On top of this, many cartoons in the 90s and early 2000s failed to represent girls and young women of color or those with different body types, suggesting that girl power is race, class, size-based. Its representation of unattractive girls as ineffectual superheroes further limits girl power to only those who successfully engage in normative femininity. Even as recently as 2015, diverse women in animated television remains a relative rare sight. Not until recently did supporting female characters start to break out of the same old molds and serve vehicles for new stories. While fans of animated television may cling to the credence of female representation, it remains apparent that a lot of work needs to be done within the industry. Although most programs involve a number of female characters, these personalities come off as one-dimensional, conventional, and, worst of all, forgettable. Although children's television reverses female protagonists and teases the facade of female empowerment, sometimes it fails at providing enough diversity and relatability necessary for change. While we can enjoy most of these shows, it's important to take a step back once in a while to see the whole picture. Now, I want to get on here and talk about Miss Bellum's character because I love Miss Bellum. I adore her. I think she's great. But her character is like literally walking fan service to a certain extent. Mind you, I like Miss Bellum, and I know that many people have their different opinions on her character. We don't see Miss Bellum's face, and I don't count that one episode where her face was shown for probably like 2 seconds on the screen. No, overall, we the audience don't know what her face looks like, but we recognize Miss Bellum by her body. And by the way, before I go any further, I am a woman. I am allowed to have my own opinions on Miss Bellum's character. I am allowed to critique characters that are women created by men. Miss Bellum's body is what makes the audience attracted to her, as she has curves and is seen to have her boobage out. And it can be a bit frustrating with this because her body is objectified a bit. When we see her sometimes, it's just her titty in the shot, or it's her ass in the shot. And it's very off-putting because this is something that I noticed within the series, that when people see Miss Bellum, the first thing they notice about her is her body. When the girls were stuck in the house all day because it was raining, so they started playing pretend and dress up, and Blossom wanted to go be Miss Bellum, and the first thing she does is stuffs her shirt up here to make it look like she has big titties. I kid you not, The Powerpuff Girls is one of those series that as you get older, you can tell men made this shit. Cause that's not even it. There's more weird kind of gross little shit like that in the show. Cause I remember the entire episode where Sedusa was pretending to be Miss Bellum. They was up here having a oh my gosh, it was like a wet water fight in the pool. It was okay. And it's not just the Powerpuff Girls that has this problem. It's a Cartoon Network thing in general, because Cartoon Network shows always be having borderline sexual shit in them. Like, please tell me why there's an entire episode of Teen Titans Go about Raven's legs. And there was fan service up in their original Teen Titans just as well. Like, anyway, let's move on. And as I had mentioned with Ginny earlier, why does she have to be designed like that? That's all she's wearing all day, every day. And then even in that episode where we see that Ginny did get a human form and she got her human skin, we see the way that she was drawn. And you know how a lot of men, they want women to have that hourglass figure. That's how Ginny was drawn when she was in her human form. It was a little bit off-putting. As much as these cartoons claim to be for girls, they still find ways to appeal to the male audience and the male gaze. And I'ma say it, media made for men does not do the exact same when it comes to catering to a female audience. They ain't thinking about us. They just don't. Like, most of the media on Disney XD, specifically their live action shows, did very little with catering to girls. I felt like as the years gone on, Disney XD actually did want that girl audience back, and that's why we had, you know, Skylar Storm's character in Mighty Men, and how we had Brie up in Lab Rats, which was not all that great to begin with because they didn't know how to write them too well. And yes, all Disney XD shows had that one girl character, and she was always made out to be the cool girl, Kim Crawford. That's literally what her character's purpose is in Kicking It. She's one of the guys. Like, think of Sam from Danny Phantom. And y'all, I have lightened up on Sam a bit. I still with her, but she literally fits the stereotype. Like Sam and plenty of the other girl characters that came from Disney XD, she doesn't have many female friends because she has a hard time getting along with other girls, or the other girls think she's weird. She likes sports and she's very athletic. She's fairly skinny but eats like shit. She's not really into girly things, but she likes things that are heavily associated with men, like video games and wrestling. And mind you, I'm not saying that those things are just limited to men. There's a lot of women that do like video games and wrestling, but y'all get where I'm coming from. Everything I just said, that's literally almost all the female characters that have come from Disney XD. Every girl on Disney XD is a stereotypical cool girl. Either that or her only purpose in this series is to annoy her brother. Listen, if you want shows with strong female leads, I don't really recommend anything on Disney XD, because while these female characters are tough and they will beat your ass, they literally are the embodiment of I'm not like other girls. And I'm talking about Disney XD originals, by the way, not the shows that they throw on the network for reruns. Disney XD, in my opinion, was just a cheap cash grab like most of the media that we have out here. Because at the time it was doing well, it did very well, but not for long, only for a few years, which isn't a good thing when you want longevity for your brand. It felt like a trend. Like, remember that trend on YouTube where like for like a good 6 months. Like people were doing those cheating storytime videos, or they were going to the worst review makeup artist in town. This was the big business equivalent to that. Toon Disney went from being a nice little network dedicated to animation to Disney XD, which was just a gross network. While Disney still threw their animated series onto Disney XD, it really gave Girls Graduate from Animation. I'm gonna be talking about that Girls Graduate from Animation shit a lot more on my channel because it pissed me off that bad. Because they made it clear that Disney XD's targeted audience was for boys. And you saw how many people that were in charge of the networking on that channel were men. And one thing about Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon is that they are known for having gross content. And you guys want me to elaborate on what gross content is? Aside from sexual innuendos, disrespecting women, and gross out humor, including but not limited to farting, burping, shit jokes, and poor hygiene, Disney was the brand that was full of nice, wholesome content where you would just see gross humor every now and then. They realized that them not having that nasty, gross humor is what was taking the attention away from them. That being content that was weird and gross and had very crude humor that only a 9-year-old would find funny. Y'all know Disney. Disney likes to have all of the attention on them, and they wanted their audience to give them that attention just as well. And they decided to ride on that wave, which resulted in them making very, very terrible live action series that have very little to no rewatch value. The animated shows were great. It's really those live action series that messed up the fucking network. I kid you not, the only live action Disney XD show that actually holds up is Zeke and Luther and Lab Rats. I wasn't really a big fan of Mighty Bat. Kicking it was but it was really just a series that was carried by 2 characters out of everyone. Gamer's Guide to pretty much everything is straight ass cheeks, like literally one of the most vile things created by Disney. It was just awful. Cameron Boys could not even save that shit. Pair of Kings, where sexual harassment carried a good chunk of the series and was very hit or miss. Kirby Buckets, like Pair of Kings, hit or miss, had potential but the bad outweighed the good. Talented cast, needed a much better show. Crash and Bernstein, just white and bootleg Cousin Skeeter. I'm in the Band was fun but very forgettable. Okay, actually this one's okay. I think it kind of holds up. Same with Walk the Prank. That one was pretty decent too. Getting rid of Toon Disney got rid of diversity, okay? Because Toon Disney had something for everyone. It was beyond the air quote boy and girl shows. There were different kinds of series for different kinds of people and what their interests were. If you wanted slice of life, you had Pepper Ann. If you wanted a crime series, you had Fillmore. Wanted a Pokemon knockoff? Digimon, which I like much better than Pokemon. You wanted a magical girl series? Go watch w.i.t.c.h. You want a series about a girl that can whoop your ass? Go to Puka. Also, if you were in the mecha, Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go was there. That used to be my shit, okay? I think I need to give that shit a rewatch. D'Angelo and Hats Off Media made an amazing video on it, by the way. While these shows did come out in the 90s and the early to mid 2000s, and we know the diversity wasn't all that great with them because they did suffer from having, you know, tokenism, but it honestly was much better than what the fuck Disney XD had going on. Disney XD was very white and it was very pale. Yes, Disney XD did have people of color on the network, but oftentimes if we saw them a lot, they were either the token, got pushed out of their story, or they were light-skinned. Yes, Disney XD did have an anime blog. Why can I only catch that shit like once or twice during the week and it's at a very inconvenient time? Darker skinned girls of color were almost non-existent on the network until Big Hero 6, the series, came out, which I love. One day I'll get around to it, okay? I will. Give me some time. All the shows featured white leads, and the one that didn't, Lab Rats ended up pushing their black lead towards the back at the end of the show's run, and they ended up focusing so much of the story more on his white step siblings than him. And then the other shows, they just didn't really get that much effort put into their storylines. Like, I kid you not, Boomer and Brady, y'all know the twins on Pair of Kings. The white twin got a much better storyline than the black one. Are we surprised? No. While Toon Disney series all had that token black character in them, the token black on Disney XD did very little to nothing. And I'm so sorry, how the fuck are you gonna have an entire series about Asian culture and not have one Asian person in your main cast? Not one of the main characters on Kicking It was Asian, and the one character on Kicking It that had a recurring role that was Asian, that was a white man. I appreciate Toon Disney because I have more variety with that network than I did with Disney XD. I do appreciate Disney XD for what it did for me at the time, but now that I sit here and realize that channel did more harm than good. Disney XD took away that variety and it just stuck to one thing. Like that being appealing to the male gaze and humor that appealed more towards men. Like, y'all know those white people comedy movies that everyone goes nuts over, like American Pie and The Hangover and like Ted and like Bridesmaids? Disney XD is like the kid channel equivalent to that shit. It's funny because Disney XD showed me that that kind of humor is not for me. You cannot pay me to finish American Pie, okay? No. Disney failed to understand that they don't have to appeal to everyone. You don't have to have something for everybody, but they want that because they want everyone to come to them for the sake of money. Like, Disney is doing just fine. You don't need to try and find a new demographic to try to appeal to everyone and everything. Disney failed to realize that the people that came to them, they came to them because of what they weren't getting from Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. Part of the reason why so many people watch Disney Channel sitcoms in the first place is because so much of the Nickelodeon sitcoms were borderline fucking gross. Like, don't get me started on that, man. Anyway, let's continue. No one does princess movies like Disney. No one does age-appropriate teen sitcoms like Disney. That's why we came to y'all. If I want to see somebody get their toenail ripped off, I would have just went to SpongeBob. You don't need people watching and engaging with your content 24/7, Disney. That's why we came to y'all. One thing that plenty of shows and movies and franchises seem to suffer from is wanting to appeal to everyone and having something that everybody can enjoy, which leads to things not being the best to what they can be. Like, like so many brands, they're not for everyone. There's plenty of brands that just target to 1, 2, or 3 specific demographics and they're doing just fine. I'll give you guys a few examples, okay? Y'all know that brand I like to wear all the time, Fine Girl. Fine Girl literally is a black owned shop that caters towards people that like Y2K fashion, and they're doing just fine because they found their niche, they found their audience, and it appeals to them. Fine Girl's not gonna appeal to people that aren't interested in that, and that's okay because while it doesn't appeal to everyone, it still appeals to a lot of people. Gossip Girl is a series for people that like shows about rich people being bitchy, okay? Not for everybody, but that market of storytelling is doing just fine. Rainbow High literally is a brand that caters towards people that like fashion, modeling, and beauty. Not gonna cater to everyone, and they're doing just fine. You don't have to appeal to everyone to be great. You don't have to appeal to everyone to be successful. And Disney trying to appeal to everyone ended up ruining something that wasn't a problem. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Honestly, it's beyond like Disney trying to cater towards the male gaze, in my opinion. It's that Disney is always trying to cater towards everyone, and it really holds back a lot when it comes to their work, because Disney is always known to be a family company or whatnot, and that's one thing that they, I'd say they have over, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, because Cartoon Network, once 8 p.m. hits, it goes to Adult Swim, and that's just adult animation. And then, with Nickelodeon, once like 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. hit, it goes to Nick at Night, and it goes to like, adult content or more, mature content that's more like TVPG. TV-14, like, because I know they play Friends, they played the George Lopez show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Everybody Hates Chris. Like, Nick at Night was like me and many other people's introductions to like, adult sitcoms. they're always trying so hard to, like, be family friendly, and then they end up having other sections of Disney, because you'll have ABC, and then you'll have Disney Junior, which is the preschool block, and then you'll have Freeform, which is more for like people my age, like people that are like teens and the 20 somethings. Like, that's what Freeform is. But when it comes to like Disney's like main thing, Disney's main thing is known for family entertainment, and it's like they try to push this narrative on how they want more family entertainment, because when you look at the Disney Channel, the only thing that's not labeled as family entertainment, the Marvel movies are becoming family movies. I don't care what anyone says, but they never promote freeform stuff on Disney Channel, and they rarely promote like ABC stuff just as well. Like, when it comes to Disney, like the Disney Channel, and then the Toon Disney and Disney XD, they so desperately want to appeal to everyone for the sake of money. And I don't care what nobody says. You don't, like I mentioned before, you do not need to cater to everyone to be great. Like, some movies are good because they don't cater to everyone. They cater toward one specific group of people. Like, let's take Deadpool, for example. If Disney had the rights to Deadpool, the movie would not have been as great as it was, because Disney, like I said, they would have tried to market that movie towards people of all ages and people that, like all these different kinds of dramas and whatnot. Like, no. Like, what made Deadpool great, like, the comic, I didn't read the comic, but I did my research on it. What made it great is that it was a hot ass mess. It was a very mature, sometimes rated NC-17, R-rated comic. That's what Deadpool is. That's what it's known for. And if you you try to go in and revamp it and all that shit, it kind of like ruins the appeal. And Disney has done that with a lot of Marvel content. They tried to like make it like more, I don't want to say they dumbed it down, but they made it, like I said, more family friendly and available for people of all ages to watch. Because when you go to the movie theaters, you see there's people of all ages in those like Marvel movie theaters. And I've only seen one Marvel movie in theaters, and that was Black Panther, and it's because it was Black Panther. I don't give a fuck about the MCU. But and I would say that's a movie that was a bit appropriate for all ages. Like, with the exception of probably like one cuss word here and there, it was appropriate for all ages. But then that's when it hit me, where I was like, that's how Disney is able to take over the superhero genre. Because, Disney owns Marvel, or they partnership, I don't know. But that is how Disney was able to, dominate the superhero genre, because they wanted to make it appeal to all ages. And not all things need to appeal to everyone. Like, okay, like, no, baby. Like, some things are just meant for the kids, some things are meant for the teens, and then some things are meant for the adults. That's why you have different kinds of materials. Like, let's say you'll have the little G-rated stuff, the G-rated cartoons, and then you'll have like the more mature stuff, like Cloak and Dagger, like the teen oriented superhero stuff. And then you'll have the adult stuff like Deadpool. I think part of the reason why it was just so hard for me to get on with the MCU is because I don't like how they were trying to cater to so many different types of people. Like, not just all age groups, but different types of demographics as well. They're trying to appeal to women. They're trying to appeal to girls. They're trying to appeal to boys. They're trying to appeal to men. Like, it's too universal for me. Like, I just can't. And like I said, Disney's greedy. Disney wants everything. And they ended up killing something that wasn't broke to begin with. Like, there was honestly nothing wrong with Disney XD. And to be honest, they knew what they were doing with that network, because you had to pay, at the time being, you had to pay extra to get Disney XD. Not Disney XD, Toon Disney. Like, there was nothing wrong with Toon Disney to begin with. And then they did that to it. And it's just really sad to see what that network turned into, because that was my favorite network to watch when I was a kid. Like, I loved me some Disney XD. I would literally, like, I remember when I would come home from like cheerleading, I would literally rush home to like watch like the new episode of Puka. Like, Disney XD was my everything, and I got so hurt when they stopped playing new episodes of Puka. And then slowly I realized that they just stopped playing new episodes of everything. And then it got rebranded into Disney XD. And it just felt like Disney XD, like I said, it was like a cash grab. It was good for some years, but now it's just pretty much dead. And it's really hurtful to see because this was a channel that used to be popping. It used to be great. It had, like I said, it had a little bit of something for everyone. And we don't have that anymore. Like, I feel like because we're in the streaming age nowadays, it's kind of like, you don't have a choice. Like, the stuff that you wanted to see on Toon Disney, you can go watch it. It's streaming. You can go watch it online. You can watch it on Disney Plus, yada, yada, yada. Like, I get that. But there's something different about having that on cable. Like, I don't care what nobody says. Cable's never going out of style. Because cable is how I and many other people are able to discover a lot of new shows. Let me tell you, if I'm scrolling through like a streaming service, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to click on something unless I do my damn research about it. How I was able to watch a lot of my favorite shows, like my favorite shows now, is because I watched them in passing. Like 101, The Parkers especially, because The Parkers is a show that I just watched because me and my dad were just watching TV one day and it just came on and I loved it. Like so many of my favorite shows that I watched came from cable because they just so happened to come on. And we saw the online advertisements for this and that and the third. Like, cable is still very important because cable is what is able to get people to, like watch other shows, because we live in this streaming era where they kind of expect you to find everything that you want. And like, yes, I get that. Like, if you want the material you want to see, go look for it. But it's a lot harder to find that material now because people don't take cable too seriously. They put shows on at horrible times where you can, when people are at work or people are going to bed, like they put stuff at the worst times for people to discover. It's bad out here, y'all. Like, the current state of television, especially cable, is very concerning, especially all the shit that's going on with the streaming wars. It's really, it makes me want to roll my eyes so hard into another different dimension. And this streaming era we're in is just very frustrating. I honestly can't wait for the day that cable becomes a thing again. Because cable really does matter, and Disney XD showed that. Not Disney XD, it did show that, but Toon Disney, it just hurts to see that there was nothing wrong with it and then that happened. And now it's like Disney is just stuck with this channel. They don't know what to do with it because, like I said, I still be watching Disney XD because I be wanting to watch cartoons. I be wanting to watch Big City Greens. I be wanting to watch Amphibia. I be wanting to watch animation. So, and I think they started playing Molly McGee too. That's why I leave the channel on Disney XD, because they play the animation. They don't play all of that lunch on Disney Channel. And it's just getting, sad to see. This channel really has nothing going for themselves, and this network doesn't know what to do with it. But that's pretty much all I gotta say for this video. I don't want to ramble on too long for this conclusion. Thank you guys so much for watching. Donate, all that stuff will be down below. My head's starting to hurt. That's why I'm just Follow me on everything at Harriyanna, Patreon, buy me coffee, all that good stuff. GoFundMe link from our web series is down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good night.
'Cause I work hard to get to this point in my life. I'm blowing up, so don't hate, just congratulate.
Powerpuff Girls will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay.